Michael Chiesa versus Vicente Luque takes place this weekend in the feature fight of UFC 265, Lewis versus Gane, and I can't wait for this welterweight bout. Two top 10 contenders in the welterweight division. Michael Chiesa at number 5, number 6 for Vicente Luque. An amazing matchup. Perfect when you look at it from the rankings perspective. Great matchup to make right now. I thought this was the fight they're going to make next, and they went ahead and made it, and I've been looking forward to this one ever since the idea of it came into my mind. Michael Chiesa versus Vicente Luque. I've heard both of these men talk about the fact that if they win this fight, they're going to earn a title shot in the welterweight division. I highly doubt that in both of their cases. I think the winner of this fight is going to earn themselves maybe a title elimination bout in the welterweight division. I think the winner of this one is still one fight away from earning their title shot at welterweight, because right now it's a hell of a logjam in the welterweight division. Usman versus Covington 2 is happening. Then you've got Leon Edwards there, and if he wins one more fight, he's obviously going to get a title shot. Then you've got Gilbert Burns. If he wins another fight, then he's probably going to earn himself a title shot. It all depends over who the champion is at the time. I'm going to assume it's probably going to be Usman, but even still, this is a great matchup amongst two top contenders at welterweight. Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque, both guys on win streaks right now. Michael Chiesa on a 4-fight win streak, beating Carlos Condit in his welterweight debut, then beating Diego Sanchez, then beating Rafael Dos Anjos, then beating Neil Magny, and those last 2 wins are the real good wins that Michael Chiesa has gotten at welterweight. Rafael Dos Anjos, I believe at the time, was still around the top 5 area of the welterweight division. Since then, he defended his position against Neil Magny and had a decent performance there, I guess, as decent as a Michael Chiesa performance can look. I guess he went out there and he beat Neil Magny pretty convincingly over 5 rounds. Even though it wasn't too entertaining, he clearly beat Neil Magny over a 5-rounder. Great performances by Michael Chiesa so far at welterweight on that 4-fight win streak. And on the other hand, you've got Vicente Luque on a 3-fight win streak over guys like Nico Price, Randy Brown, and more recently, Tyron Woodley, which was a great win for him, and he finished Woodley in the first round, which kind of makes Gilbert Burns, Usman, and Covington's performances against Woodley not look the best in all honesty. But even still, I thought Vicente Luque fought the best version of Tyron Woodley that we've seen recently, a Tyron Woodley that really came out there to try and win. And when you fight that version of Woodley where Woodley's just going to go all out for a finish, he also leaves himself open for a finish in the early rounds as well. If Tyron Woodley went out there against Luque and just backed up the whole time and just worked the clinch against the cage, he'd probably last until the later rounds as well. However, because Woodley went out there and threw heavy firepower in the opening few minutes, that's why Vicente Luque had the opportunity to finish him. Rocked him badly on the feet, put him down to the ground, then eventually got that dash choke finish. Vicente Luque's got a very nasty dash choke, and that might come in handy against Michael Chiesa, who I believe is going to be immediately diving for the legs of Vicente Luque in this matchup. I don't think Michael Chiesa is going to want to stay on the feet for more than 10 seconds every single round. I think he'll immediately look to clinch Luque against the cage, try and drag him down to the canvas, and just try and be that wet blanket that Michael Chiesa can be. I just don't see him being able to do it to Vicente Luque, because Vicente Luque, he's Vicente Luque. And I think he's a real threat in this welterweight division. I genuinely believe that Vicente Luque right now has the best chance of beating Kamaru Usman. I don't think Usman can lose to Vicente Luque right now in their careers, but maybe when Usman's 35 and Vicente Luque is 31 and times change and all of a sudden Vicente Luque's looking better than ever and Usman's looking a little bit older and maybe he goes through another war with Colby Covington, all of a sudden you've got a real legit chance that Luque could go out there and decapitate Usman. I mean, Luque is really a wild card in the welterweight division. Don't get me wrong, Chiesa's good. I just don't see Chiesa, even with a win here by out-grappling Luque, being able to out-grapple the Covingtons and the Usmans and even the Gilbert Burnses of the welterweight division. So I think even if Chiesa wins, it kind of ruins things, because we know he can't really beat the top guys. There's a chance, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Vicente Luque has a much better chance as an underdog against the top guys in the welterweight division. I feel like Vicente Luque is going to get the job done against Michael Chiesa, and I think he's going to get it done by first round KO. I just can't see a world where Michael Chiesa will be safe standing on the feet with Vicente Luque, even in round 1. I can see Vicente Luque doing vicious damage to Michael Chiesa, and I think he's going to catch him really badly whilst Chiesa is maybe shooting for a takedown. I can see Luque catching him behind the ear, Chiesa going down, looking up at Luque, and then Luque just starting to get on him and pound big shots on a rocked Chiesa who's just been slumped from a shot behind the ear, maybe with a check hook from Vicente Luque or something like that. I can just see so viciously Vicente Luque destroying a blind-looking Michael Chiesa in the first round of this bout, because Michael Chiesa on the feet, he doesn't even wear glasses outside of the cage, so I don't know what his excuse is for such terrible hand-eye coordination. He's been going for so long in MMA, you'd think he'd learn some kind of basics of striking, but he has no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. There is no chance of him harming anyone with his hands. I know he dropped Masvidal, don't get me wrong, ages ago in his career, but even still, Michael Chiesa in the punching department and the stand-up department in general is in a real problem, and I don't think he's going to be able to finish Vicente Luque on the ground, which means Vicente Luque is going to have 3 chances about a minute long to try and get a KO over Michael Chiesa or damage him enough to where Chiesa can't just walk forward and take him down. I think Vicente Luque is going to chop at the legs without any fear, just to show Michael Chiesa that he doesn't worry about the takedown, and also just trying to really hurt the legs of Michael Chiesa, take away some of that drive from that initial takedown that he's going to go for. Maybe Luque uses calf kicks here. They're a lot harder to catch from Michael Chiesa. Leg kicks, usually to the thigh, are a little bit easier to catch. You don't have to dip as low to go for them. Calf kicks are a lot harder, and they leave you open for other shots with the hands as well, because you have to go so far down to try and catch a calf kick and take someone down from it. I feel like Vicente Luque has got this one in the bag. He has been taken down before in bouts, but they're all under different circumstances than Michael Chiesa taking him down. In Luque's fights, he gets taken down in the middle of wildness on the feet and ends up on the canvas, and then he has to work his way back to his feet, which usually 10 times out of 10 times he does, especially the recent version of Luque anyway. Michael Chiesa goes against the cage, he pushes you there, and he strategically tries to get you down. Like, there's a lot of time to prepare yourself for Chiesa's takedown attempt. It's not going to be some lightning fast double leg reaction off of a jab of Luque, and all of a sudden Luque's just been blasted into the canvas, and Michael Chiesa immediately passes over his guard into side control and starts to work the rear naked choke from the back mount or something like that. Like, it's going to be Michael Chiesa pushing Luque against the cage as best he can and just trying to drag Luque to the canvas like a wet blanket. And I don't see that style of wrestling working on Vicente Luque, because he has struggled to make it work against guys like Neil Magny, against guys like Rafael Dos Anjos, who, although he did beat 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, you know, he doesn't really do too much damage, Michael Chiesa. That's his huge problem in these fights. He does a lot of grappling, but there's not a lot of total strikes. There's no significant strikes either. He kind of goes for submission attempts, but then again, he had no submission attempts against Rafael Dos Anjos. He just looks to control you as a wet blanket on the ground. And I think Vicente Luque, just being way bigger than Rafael Dos Anjos and way bigger than most welterweights in general, is going to be able to stuff those takedowns a little bit better than a former lightweight would. And another former lightweight in the version of Diego Sanchez that Michael Chiesa took on. And you've got Carlos Condit, who has had a problem in the past with grapplers, and at the time was on a losing streak in the welterweight division. Then you've got his more recent win against Neil Magny. Neil Magny is absolutely fucking brain dead. There's a lot of things that Luque doesn't have that a lot of these people have had or been that have lost to Michael Chiesa before. I think Luque's too big, too strong. He's got good takedown defense when he's against the cage, like he showed against Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley immediately went for a takedown against Vicente Luque in their fight. Couldn't get him down. Luque showed great balance, great strength against the cage, then turned Woodley around against the cage and started pushing him against the cage and started working some of his clinch game. I just don't see Chiesa winning this one. Luque is too dangerous in close quarters combat. He's great with knees as well, and you saw that against Randy Brown. I think they just posted that on the UFC's Instagram page. He's great with knees in the clinch, really good with those kind of stuff. He's great body shots as well. He's got great elbows, great little shoulder attacks that he uses. I just don't see Vicente Luque getting wet blanketed by Michael Chiesa, and if it's on the feet, I see Luque getting a KO, so I'm going to call a first round KO here for Vicente Luque. He pushes a much higher pace than Michael Chiesa. He's got a way higher striking accuracy, of course, because it's Michael Chiesa. Takedown accuracy, 52% for Michael Chiesa, 50% for Vicente Luque, but Chiesa shoots way more, so there's going to be more missed ones in there than there would be if you're usually a striker and you're surprising people with your takedowns and they're not training for takedowns when they take you on. Takedown defense rate, 68% for Michael Chiesa, 65% for Vicente Luque. Great takedown defense for Luque. Good for Chiesa as well, but he's usually the offensive one with the grappling. I just think Luque's got this one in the bag. And also, I want to mention this. Great training camp for Michael Chiesa. You've got Gilbert Burns with you. Great grappler in the welterweight division. And by the way, a Gilbert Burns who in his last fight against Stephen Thompson was training grappling heavy offense. His whole game plan against Stephen Thompson was to ground him out against the ground and basically be Michael Chiesa for a day. That's all it was. Gilbert Burns spent 8 weeks training for Wonderboy Thompson to go out there and be a wet blanket on the ground and try and take him down and grind him against the cage. Luque has also been in camp along with Gilbert Burns, and Luque's fought Wonderboy before, so in my opinion, I haven't been in their camp. I would assume Luque and Burns are being each other's opponents for their fight camps. Burns being the Chiesa for Luque. Luque trying, I guess, to be the Wonder Boy for Gilbert Burns, but I'm sure they probably brought in Raymond Daniels or something like that to try something out. Everyone brings in Raymond Daniels whenever they're taking on like a weird striker. Either way, Vicente Luque, I think he's got a great training partner for this. Michael Chiesa, way older, is a little bit injury prone, so you never really know what Chiesa's going to show up. Always seems to have some kind of injury. Vicente Luque in the prime of his career, 29 years of age, improving more and more every fight. I feel like we've seen what Chiesa brings to the table. We still don't know what Luque can become. That's something that you got to bet on as well, the improvement of Luque. I think Luque's got this one in the bag. There's no way Chiesa KOs him, in my opinion. Chiesa doesn't really get submissions either, even against Diego Sanchez and way smaller opponents that you should easily be able to beat, in all honesty. And I think Vicente Luque is going to have too many opportunities to land big shots on the feet, and I think he's going to get them. And plus, Chiesa ain't blasting double legs in the center of the cage. He's trying to push you to the cage, take you down, grind you against the cage, eventually get on top of you and put a hook in, and get your body and get his body weight on top of you because he's a big guy. Vicente Luque, I just think he has so many opportunities between A to B for Michael Chiesa. He's going to get a KO win, in my opinion. I really do believe so. I think Luque gets this one done. TKO in the first round. I really like his chances. Plus, Luque's got great takedown defense in general, and has been improving it ever since the early part of his career, where maybe he did show a little bit of a problem with takedown defense. Of course, his debut on the Ultimate Fighter finale was against Michael Graves. Lost that one by being taken down over and over again, basically. Then he won a bunch of fights. Then he used his own grappling against Alvaro Herrera Mendoza, whoever that is, and he got the grappling win there by utilizing his grappling and got a submission in the second round. Then he came in there against Leon Edwards, kind of got taken down here and there, but it wasn't really the takedowns that lost him the fight. Leon Edwards tried 12 times, got Luque down 3 times. Both guys had similar control time. In fact, Luque actually had more control time than Leon Edwards and was more effective with his grappling as well, and had a higher takedown rate than Leon Edwards, but Leon Edwards in that third round just landed too many significant strikes, as he did in the second round as well. I just think Luque knows that if he just stays active with total strikes against the cage and lands good knees in the clinch, if it ever does get there against the cage where Chiesa's trying to take him down, I can just see Luque landing good shots while Chiesa is trying his best to take down Vicente Luque. I can see Chiesa, if it doesn't go past the first minute, or if it does go past the first minute and he gets Luque to the cage, which I don't believe is going to happen anyway. I think Luque is going to get a real quick KO. I can see Michael Chiesa shooting a takedown with his head on the outside, Luque pounding him with those Travis Brown elbows, landing good punches while Chiesa's like barely clinging onto a single leg, trying to get himself back up Luque's body to try and get some weight distribution going on. I can just see Luque hurting Chiesa while he's trying to take Luque down. Luque's a little bit bigger than all of the other welterweights that Chiesa has taken on, and I think that's going to be a huge factor here. Plus, of course, the training camp, which which he has spent doing nothing but defend takedowns, with Gilbert Burns on his team, helping him out the entire time, as a perfect mirror match to take on Michael Chiesa. I think it's going to go well for Vicente Luque here. But if he wins, I definitely feel like he should maybe look to take on Gilbert Burns. And I know that they don't want to do that because they are friends. I don't give a fuck about friends. You know what I'm saying? I really don't give a fuck. And sorry for Gilbert Burns, but if Luque wins, I feel like they've kind of got to make Burns versus Luque. And I'm sure that both of them will look at each other and say, you know what? We could fight 2 more times and try and get a title shot afterwards. Or we could fight each other and that way at least one of us gets a title shot moving forward. Let's remain friends afterwards. I'm not going to do what Usman did to you and be all mean beforehand and get in your face and mug you off while your kids watch at home. I'll be nice. We'll keep our friendship good. We'll both train at Sanford MMA. Whoever wins gets a title shot. May the best man win. Only one of us can continue our careers. Or maybe Luque wins this one. Covington loses to Usman. Covington likes the idea of a Luque matchup or maybe a Chiesa matchup. You know that Chiesa's been calling out Covington for a very long time. I just feel like Luque's got this one in the bag. He's been way more active as well. Chiesa hasn't fought since January. I believe Luque fought in May or April or March. One of those 3 months. I'll just check it right now. It was in March, the end of March, so he's been a lot more active than Michael Chiesa, who fought in January. And I just like Luque's chances here, man. I think he's looking really good recently. He's got a lot of power, and I think he's going to smack Chiesa on the chin in round 1. I don't see Chiesa getting him down, man. He even struggled against Neil Magny, and honestly, Neil Magny got himself down more than Chiesa got him down. If you remember that fight with Magny, Neil Magny literally was engaging in the clinch with Michael Chiesa because Chiesa couldn't reach it otherwise, by the way, because Magny was moving too much. Chiesa would not be able to reach the clinch with Neil Magny. Magny would engage in the clinch with Michael fucking Chiesa, and then he would like try and suplex Chiesa on top of him on the canvas and just end up pulling Chiesa into his guard on the ground, and Chiesa would then wet blanket the rest of the round for himself. I don't understand what Neil Magny's game plan was, but I know that Luque is not that Down syndrome, and I think he'll get the job done this weekend. Violent Vicente Luque gets it done. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.